We are now reflecting on what happened to Tottenham. We heard Alex Crook there in commentary, Cass, referring to choose any words you like. Spursy, rubbish, all these kind of words I'm sure you could throw at that performance for Spurs. Clive Allen there was also very scathing. He was part of the commentary team on talkSPORT 2 on Thursday. They were 2-0 up from that first leg. Went to Croatia, lost 3-2 in the end. I don't know where to begin, but I'm going to ask you this question and hope that you can clarify for us. How did a season that started off full of promise spiral to what now appears to be a scrambled mess, shall we say?
Well, it's really difficult to dissect because there's so much to talk about, that performance and their season. Now, you can question Jose, rightly so. I think I've said this numerous times on air that his style of football isn't really conducive to have a winning style of challenging for winning leagues. I think it's very tough because the laws of the game has changed where if you're so defensive, you get punished a lot because you're giving away too many free kicks in danger areas, penalties likewise. Now, they had some performances that are, I'll give you Crystal Palace at home at the London Stadium. Smashed Crystal Palace, went for the jugular straight from the start. Did the same against Burnley, went for the jugular. In some strange way, their result against Man City at the start of the season when they beat them at the London Stadium 2-0.
At the
Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah.
Beat them 2-0. It's backfired because he's gone with that. Every time he's played a decent side, really, since then, and he's played Chelsea, obviously, and the way they were beaten at the Tottenham Stadium, way they were beaten by Arsenal at the London Derby. They sat off them. So they sit off a good teams, and want to go for the jugular against bad teams, which is not a good thing. And I think, look, their performance on Thursday was everything that everyone's going to say. Every fan, there's no debate. It was awful. I didn't like Lloris's comments after the game because I just add on that, because it's important. There's a couple of things. One, he talks about the reflection of what's going on at the club. Yeah? Now, that's way deeper. That's a real deep criticism. Because he's now telling us there's lots of stuff you don't know as fans, what's going on at this football club. And that reflects badly on the club as a whole, to me. And the second comment, the lack of desire to kill the tie. Now, Jose wasn't mentioned at all by Lloris. But that line is a mention to Jose of the lack of desire, because what you're saying is, tactically, we didn't have any intent to try and go and score a goal and put this tie to bed. That's what he's saying. The lack of intent is meaning that. So that's a direct hit at Jose for me.
Interesting, just to bring the listeners a little bit more on what Lloris said. Obviously, he was asked, how are you and the team feeling after this result? He said it's that we're all disappointed. He says, it is just a disgrace. I just hope everyone in the changing room feels responsible for this situation because it is a disgrace. He's the captain. He's going to be saying that. You've obviously
don't
picked
like
up.
It.
Because
don't like
why?
It.
Because surely that's you. In a way, especially from the media point of view, we like it when a player says something like that. They don't kind of try and hide behind anything. He's being brutally honest and saying this is a disgrace, and he hopes that everyone knows in that dressing room that what they put out on that Thursday night was a disgraceful performance.
You don't need to tell everyone it's a disgrace. Everyone witnessed it. If you're a Tottenham fan, you witnessed it. Okay. Now, I've seen this happen in dressing rooms. When you have someone be so outspoken and go for the jugular and say things who haven't had a particular good season, and I've been in this scenario with players and a captain, and the captain starts to blurt out everything that he thinks is wrong, and you've not played very well, you're not coming from a position of strength, okay? You're going to have players and think, how dare you? How dare you criticise others? We're all responsible. And he says that, everyone's responsible. But he's coming from a position of not having a very good season. So it feels like everyone's going to be patting him on the back, well said. In his dressing room, it won't be that. It'll be, how dare you? I guarantee you, Natalie. As much as fans might say, oh, we needed Lloris to say something like that, he's not played well. He's part of the problem. And I think that needs addressing in itself. He's now... For me, I can't see him having a future at Spurs.
Well, I was going to ask you that really, because this is what he also went on to say. We are a club that's full of ambition, but the team at the moment, I just think, is a reflection of what's going on in our club. We have a lack of basics, a lack of fundamentals over our performances in relation to that. I think mentally we should be stronger. We should be more competitive. But today I didn't feel that on the field, unfortunately. Now, he might not mean this in the sense that, you can read into things that people say.
Yeah.
But when he's talking about a reflection of what is going on in our club, that we lack basics and we lack fundamentals, that's damning.
Yes.
Overall, isn't it?
It's very damning. To me, it stinks of a player that's going to rock the boat and might be thinking, I can go to PSG or whoever, I'm a World Cup winner, I'll go back to France and I can leave. Because I don't think he's convinced that his future is going to be at Spurs anyway. I think there is indications that the club might be looking at another goalkeeper. Josie said he was the best in the world. I nearly laughed when he said that early in the season. We've got the best goalkeeper in the world. Well, the rest of the goalkeepers must be rubbish because he has been bang average for a long time. I've been hugely critical of him for a number of seasons, and Tottenham fans have had a go about me. I don't see a very good goalkeeper there. He's won the World Cup, yes. There's been bad players who have won major trophies. This club has been going through the mill for a long time. They got no chance of keeping Harry Kane and probably Heung-min Son, if we want to add on players who want to stay at that football club. So many of their players are not good enough. And I talk about relationships. I think the relationship between Eric Dyer and the keeper is probably dreadful. And that's your centre-half in front of you. And I think it's probably the same for Sanchez, Dyer and the keeper. Then I might think it's Aurier, Sanchez, Dyer, the keeper. And then it might be Ben Davies and all the others I've just mentioned. The relationship between them looks wrong. They don't look like they're a team that defend. We watch Leeds, and we're going to talk about Leeds afterwards. Question any of their players' attitude, motivation. I don't think that's going on at their football club. And he might have a grander point. There's a lot of change going to happen at Spurs. I don't see how it's going to be as basic and as easy as people think, because a lot of money's going to be involved, and money ain't about in football at the moment.
Of course, they've got the EFL Cup final next month against Manchester City to come. Should they win that, and I say should, is that enough to keep Harry Kane, or do you think he now need... And it's inevitable that we talk about Harry Kane. No,
it's not enough. What enough is, and I've had this chat, Joe, our producer's a Tottenham fan. Billy, he's on the tech guy, he's a Tottenham fan as well. I look at it and the comment says that we got no chance of making the top four in the Premier League. Well, yeah, from what you saw on Thursday night, you can agree with that. They're 3 points behind if they win their game in hand to Chelsea, who are lying in fourth. This season is not finished. They need to go on a run and prove everybody, their fans, that they're capable of being a top four team this season, because it's still there. It hasn't gone yet. It's still available. Yes, they're going to go after an amazing run. If I talked about the performances of Crystal Palace at home against Burnley at home, they've got to be brave. If they're going shoulder to shoulder, with some very good teams in the Premier League, you've got to be prepared to have a go at them. You're a big football club. You've got a stadium that's the state of the art. It's one of the, if not the best stadium in the world. You've got a centre forward. You've got a player that's, everybody would want. I think Tottenham have to recognise that there's a golden opportunity still there. It just doesn't feel like that at the moment.
No, performances aren't warranting what you're saying right now, but looking further ahead and sort of briefly, because we're coming up to 6:30, Jose Mourinho, is he still the right man to be leading Tottenham? I
think that decision can only be decided at the end of the season and where they are. If they are where they are at the end of the season, no, absolutely not. I think there's concerns about their start. I keep going back to that. There's a lot to play for still with for Tottenham, 10 games to go to get 30 points. They're a shadow of the club that, and this happens quite regularly. New stadium, lots of optimism. Big manager who's won things before, who doesn't look the right fit at the moment. This can all change very, very quickly. If they win the League Cup and make the top four, you can say, OK, that is a big progress. They've actually won something and they've made that top four.
Aston Villa, they play on Sunday as well. That'll be a big game for them to try and get back.
You need big games. You need
confidence from after a very dismal performance in midweek.
Nat, you got to show that you're capable. Villa have been flying this year, have had a good season. You got to show that you're a side that can bounce back with an attitude, because everybody is saying the same old line I've heard for 30, 40 years. Spursy. They weren't Spursy the other night. That was a way worse than a Spursy. I don't even know. That was a double Spursy. I don't know the line.
A double negative.
By the way, let's give a bit of credit, because the GOAT, the greatest hat trick the GOAT was what I saw on Thursday night as well.
Orsic's hat-trick.
Ah,
Okay.
What a hat-trick. That was best I've ever seen.
GOAT.
Not the Tottenham fans.
I'm not sure we've ever referred to him as the GOAT. In fact, I haven't. Sadly to say, I had not really heard of Orsic before that game. This tie against Tottenham. But there you go. Yes, very disappointing for Spurs. They have been knocked out of the Europa League, but as we say, they do have a Premier League game to come tomorrow, which is at 7:30 as they face Aston Villa.